Computer. Hi, this is Anthony from J&A, exposing corruption at its finest. We have a guest on talking about how they were mistreated and signs of favoritism at Sunline Transit Agency. Okay, come on, Cecilia.
Hi, my name is Cecilia Garcia. I did work for Sunline for 6 years. And just pretty much, it was good in the beginning because we did have different staff members. Come 2018 and on moving forward, the staff just got worse and worse and worse. There was a lot of harassment, just a lot of favoritism. I did work for the reservation department for Sundial, and it was the worst. Pretty much just coming to work, kind of feeling like you're going to high school. We never got a raise. We were hidden in a trailer that the carpet smelled terrible. The windows were dirty. We did not get housekeeping or anything. We had to take out our own trash. We had to clean our own carpet. The water tank leaked, smelled terrible. We had to work in these conditions. We had a budget. We get a budget through operations, and the budget was never used on us. Management would go out to eat, go get Starbucks, when that budget money was supposed to be for us, if we needed pens. And we were always told that we couldn't order things because it's out of the budget. I did speak with Tiffany Moore, which was the manager at the time, and we were backed up budget from July all the way to the time I left December. She did not spend one dime on us. Our budget was so basically it was rolling over. So anytime we requested anything, she would tell us that no, we can't do it, no, we can't. We had a printer in our department, and because the ink was costly, she told us that we were not able to print there. We had to go to the main office in operations to print paperwork. We were already short-staffed as it was. So whenever we had to print papers, we had to take time off, log off, go print. Once we moved into our new building, the harassment continued. Basically, once we became union, or were looking into becoming union, all ties with our manager just cut. She was very snoopy with us. Her door was shut, which was Tiffany Moore. We were not able to even talk to her. When we would email her, she never came around. She was just very bitter. Tamara Miles, also, she was the worst. She's in human resources, but prior to that, she was in compliance, and prior to that, she was our manager for Sundial Reservations. I remember emailing her about an incident that I was being harassed, and I just felt like I was tired of the job. I really needed to speak to somebody. When emailing her, she pretty much told me that I had to go. This is the email she sent me. You will need to go through chain of command. Your supervisor would be Todd McDaniel at the time. There is not a grievance for non-bargaining employees. That is for bargaining employees. If you mean you need to talk to Judy's supervisor about something, Phil is incorrect. Then you would do that through Todd. Well, the complaint was towards Todd and towards Judy. So basically saying it was already a set to fail mission. There was no way I can talk to anybody because the people that I was putting the formal complaint about was Todd and Judy. At the time, Judy was hired and I felt so belittled. She harassed me on her first week. Brittany was our overseeing manager at the time, and Marina Blackstone, because they had fired our previous manager, Scott Jurgens, because they were just awful to him. They treated him terrible. He actually had to pick up 3 different positions. He had to do reservations, he had to do planning, and he had to do customer service. Nobody wanted to help him. So at some point, they pretty much just set him up to fire him. So we didn't have a manager for a moment. So that's when Marina Blackstone became a manager. And mind you, she had no experience. She was a reservation and got hired less than, I would say, 6 months. And then she became Todd's assistant. Now, no experience. She came from Macy's. She had no background. But because she knew Monica from HR, that's how she got the job. Monica was the one doing the hiring. So she became Todd's assistant. The job was never posted. The job was never put online, nothing, no inside, nothing. So she got the job without anybody else knowing. Then once Scott got fired, Marina became our temp manager and then overseen by Brittany. Brittany was very hostile. She was very argumentative, just wanting to write everybody up, not even knowing the department, not knowing what we go through. We did work with ADA. We got yelled at constantly by clients, buses running late, no drivers, the routes, just everything. We basically got yelled at 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So, and mind you, we were short staffed. Mind you, we had no manager. It was a terrible situation. And Lauren knew all of this. And to top it off, Lauren Skyver would do Matrix. In Matrix, it's basically your manager or somebody that's basically overseeing your department speaks for your department. And every time we listen into Matrix, it was always tearing our department down, always talking bad about us, always saying that we're not doing a good job, we're missing calls. But mind you, Lauren knew we were short-staffed. Lauren knew that we had people out sick. Lauren knew that there was COVID. Lauren knew all of these things and never once stepped up to help our department. Our department was drowning. We had complaints and all we heard was all the bad. We never heard the good. Good job. You guys are doing good during this COVID. We never got COVID pay, which Lauren could have signed up for us to get it, which was the essential workers. We were forced to work. We were forced to not take vacations. That was for the whole 2020 to 2021. We could not take vacations. We were so short staffed. At one point we had one working. Imagine we get over 100 calls per day. That's 100 calls. And we were supposed to have 6 reservations. Mind you, we had only 2. So it was a nightmare. Laura knew about it all. She did not care. All she did was worry about admin building. That's all that got praised. That's all that got rewarded. We would see emails saying that we were a part of admin, that, you know, that admin and us are the same and we have to follow the same rules. But then we would see emails that they're getting lunches. They had big lunches where they were getting catered food. And we would get the email after 3 o'clock saying that there's leftovers in the break room if we wanted to go get some. Mind you, we are in a whole nother building. That means we would have to log out of our phones, walk all the way to admin building, get the food and come all the way back. we were not allowed to leave. So pretty much basically all the catering and food that they got was basically for Lauren and her team. It's just been a nightmare. I stayed with the company because it's a good company to work for. When I first did start, the management was great, but then Brittany came along and it just seemed like everything went downhill. They started firing good people, hiring people that didn't even know the job. Everybody in planning, I could see that the fixed route drivers, their scheduling was terrible. Just things that didn't make sense. They started combining routes, and it's been a mess. And I know because we have to log into a system that shows us the routes and shows us the drivers, shows us everything, and that's fixed route, and that's also sundial. It's called Aval. That's what we use for both fixed route. So looking at Aval, you can see everything just crashing down. It was just a mess. And I dealt with that. I had a lot of anxiety. I even got depression because, you know, just leaving that job, coming home, I just felt miserable. I felt terrible. We got verbally abused every day, and Lauren knew about it. She never said nothing to the clients. There was a lot of racism. Clients were very racial to us, and Lauren did nothing about it. And Tamara knew too. Tamara Miles, honestly, should not be in that position. She plays a lot of favoritism. Her and Tiffany are friends, and Tiffany is friends with Lauren Skyver. So can you imagine being an employee and not even able to turn to anybody, not able to go to Tiffany, not able to go to Tamara because Tamara and Tiffany are friends, not able to go to Isabel because Isabel Acosta is friends with Tiffany and they hang out after work drinking mimosas. So there was nobody to
You
go
don't
to.
basically have a chance.
You don't have a chance.
I did see Lauren Skyver bring some clothes for Tiffany's daughter and put it on her car. Is that when they got rid of Anita? Anita was good at planning. They got rid of Anita. They didn't allow Anita to do a lot of things that she was capable. She had a lot of experience in planning, but they didn't allow her to use her expertise.
So
Brittany
they
doesn't even have
demoted.
any experience. I mean, I don't know where she came from. I heard she was a coffee runner for one of these cities.
So when Brittany came, all she had was her degree. She didn't have any experience in operations. So her first year, she was very quiet. She just kind of learned everything. Once Lauren gave her the opportunity to become, more, then she started trying to change everything. She fired Scott Jurgens because she said he was too happy. He was too happy and too outgoing and bubbly. Why is he always happy? So the demeanor of that whole department, everybody just was on edge. Everybody, accounting, everybody just felt like they were going to be fired. Everybody did. And that's the reason why we got in touch with Union. That's the reason why we became a Teamster, because we felt like all of our jobs were at risk. And it was just, we had been planning to be union way before all this happened, because it was just a mess. People were getting away with things, favoritism, because people knew HR, basically just a nightmare. And Brittany, she came in, she fired a lot of people because she didn't like to be told, or people to give her. She wants to be the boss, basically, and she's a know-it-all. So when someone's giving her the information, she's gonna go by what she wants to go by, and that's what happened with Anita. And obviously, she became friends with Marina Blackstone, and she became friends with Isabel, and the guy in planning, Manuel, is Marina's boyfriend. So of course he got the position. Of course he got the job. That's why Anita had to go bye-bye, because they're friends and they hang out outside of work, which is a conflict of interest,
Like one big
especially
mafia.
especially Isabel. Isabel should not be hanging out with them outside of work. That's a big conflict of interest. And Isabel should not have that position. Isabel, I got written up for some issues and I got suspended. I had on December 1st, I was to be suspended without pay. So I spoke to at the time Marcus was the union rep, and I have the text messages and everything. I have it all documented that he stated that he was going to speak to Isabel because that wasn't right. And so when speaking to Isabel, he let her know, and I made copies of all the paperwork, everything. The write-up was inaccurate. They wrote on their things that were not true. So when I exposed them and I wrote an email to Tiffany twice, she never responded to me. I said, I'm not signing this write-up because it's not correct. The information you have put on here is not correct. And I showed her all the evidence that she was wrong. So she never responded to me. I took the suspension with no pay. When speaking to Marcus, he talked to Isabel Acosta, and Isabel was supposed to talk to me about it. She avoided me. She sent Tiffany to talk to me about it. When talking to Tiffany, I showed her. She says, I never got your email. I said, I can resend it to you and I can screenshot it and show you. So I did. She never responded. Up until the day I put my 2 weeks in, which was December 3rd, I put my 2 weeks for to do my exit interview with HR. And that would be Clarissa. She was the HR at the time. And so the day of my last day, which was the 17th of December, Tiffany never messaged me, never came in, nothing. So I waited and waited. It was about 2 p.m. And I said, okay, it's already going to be almost 5 and I still haven't did my exit interview. So I reached out to HR and I have the email as well. I have copies of all of that. She said I had spoke to Tiffany in the morning and I let her know what time to come in at 4. I said, unfortunately, she never replied to me or gave me that message. So I ended up going in there at 4, doing my exit interview. And she says, oh, Tiffany says you have to stay till 5. Mind you, Tiffany's my supervisor. She should be informing me this information, regardless if I'm quitting or not. She is my immediate supervisor. And to the day I leave, my 5 o'clock, she is my manager still. So she said nothing to me. So I asked Clarissa, I said, okay, well, I have my pass. You guys want me to go back to work and work till 5 o'clock. What do I do with my pass, which is the key that you get in the gate and the doors? She said, oh, go ahead and hand it to Tiffany when you're done. So I waited till 5 o'clock. Tiffany never came, never talked to me, nothing. Mind you, this is my supervisor, my manager. I gave her my pass at 5 o'clock and she's like, oh, just go ahead and leave it right there. Have a good day. Bye. That's it. Nothing else. So that just tells you how much bitter and harassment I went through with this company for no reason, because I wanted to become a Teamster, because I wanted to have union to be backed up. You know, I just felt like I had enough. I had a lot of harassment. I did speak with Judy. Judy did get fired. I spoke with her. A day that I saw her at Walmart, and she did explain to me that Brittany and Isabel and all of them were trying to fire me because I had spoken up. I had emails and I had said, no, this isn't right. This is not right what you're doing to me. And because I spoke up, I was a immediate threat, you know. So Judy did tell me that they had her try to fire me, but because she started seeing how they were and she was going against them, they ended up throwing her back on probation, and then they ended up firing her after they put her back on 90 days. So what they do, it's like high school. You go in there and they treat you terrible. They make you feel little. Tamara has yelled at me so many times, and it's very unprofessional. She yelled at me because I messed up on a 5-star, which is like a dementia. We pick up those clients through Sundial. And I had messed up on a client. The driver had to go all the way to Mecca and pick up this client. Unfortunately, we were overworked. We had so many calls coming in. It was just like really busy that week. And instead of her talking to me, she was yelling at me. And I told her I no longer wanted to do the 5-star anymore because of that fact. She was yelling at me. And then she came in and said she was sorry. But you know, they belittle you. They make you feel like, you know, admin makes you feel like they're bigger than you and we're just little people for the company. You know, they make you feel like Sundial, they don't really care for that department, but they just have to deal with it because it's being funded.
ADA. Yeah.
So we haven't got a raise. I was making, in 6 years, I was making $15.72. 6 years. When I looked at my check one day, it was a little bit more. And I was trying to figure out why my check stub had a little more money on there. So when I reached out to accounting, which is Luis, he's the main chief of accounting, he told me that they had forgot to give us our pay, our extra pay, which was like 5 cents or 10 cents. I can't know exactly the amount, but it wasn't a big amount. And he said that they had forgot to pay us, so they were giving it to us on that check. So that's the reason why we got a little extra. So can you imagine they forgot to give us our pay raise? There's so many positions that are unnecessary. I'm no longer with the company, but I do have people that still work there. And apparently we're supposed to have 6 reservationists working at Sundial. There's 5 reservations, and now Tiffany Moore hired an assistant. I don't understand why you need an assistant if you don't even have fully staffed to answer calls. And according to Lauren, reservations very important. The call count and all of that is so important. We even, if we have missed calls, you know, we get in trouble, we get documented on it. First of all, the phone system is the worst. I have reported to IT multiple times about our phone system. I have so much documentation that I'm on a call and a call's coming in. That's not supposed to happen. And Tiffany did nothing about it. She just said, document it and send it to me, send it to me. And when they go to Matrix in front of Lauren, they're reporting all of this false information. So then Lauren is looking at us like we're so bad. We're not doing our job correctly. So we're not getting raises. When asked if we're getting a raise, they told Judy, if they're not complaining about it, don't worry about it. So basically, when we go and complain about it, they tell us that right now there's no budget. There's no budget. I've witnessed Tiffany buying Starbucks for Marina. And on my break, I was going to Starbucks and I had already ordered it through an app. She said, oh, where are you heading to? I said, oh, I'm on my break and I'm going to Starbucks. She says, here, take this company card and buy my Starbucks and Marina Starbucks and you can get something if you want. I said, no, I already ordered mine. I just got to go pick it up. So I know for a fact that she uses the budget money for her own personal reasons. They order food. They're always going out to eat. And I have an email that I sent to the maintenance facility. I asked for water bottles because we're basically stuck in a room and we don't get to leave whenever we want to drink water. So having a water bottle is easier than us clocking out and going to get water. So she sends an email to a coworker telling her, we're not allowed to get water bottles. It's not in the budget. And we need to go to Isabel to approve it. Water bottles. Water costs $4. You're telling me we don't have a budget to get waters for 6 people? That's crazy. And then we complain about our chairs. Our backs have been hurting. Our neck, our back. We sit on our computer answering phones for 8 hours straight. When we told Vanessa Moore, or Vanessa, I don't know Vanessa's last name.
Mora.
Yeah, we told Vanessa, we sent an email to Tiffany, sent an email to Vanessa. Tiffany was very upset that we had sent a email over that our backs are all hurting. Remind you, there was 6 of us at the time, and we were all complaining about the same thing. Asael from safety came out and said, okay, we have to do a thorough inspection. He did. He asked us all questions. They never did anything about it. They all walked away, and that was it. That was the end of that. So, yeah, and all we requested was we get our old chairs back. We didn't even want new chairs. So because they didn't want to deal with it, we had to suffer. And once that we became a union, we signed and we did our so we all did our surveys.
Certification.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once that happened, a camera was put in. Now, mind you, I'm the one who went in front of them and signed saying that, pretty much I was the union rep for my department. Marcus was a union rep for the whole thing, but I was the one for our department. So I would report to Marcus whenever, or Diane at the time before she passed away. I was with doing Zoom calls and things like that with them. So Marcus had came in to let me know that Diane had passed away, unfortunately. Tiffany comes in right away and asks him to leave. He said, I'm not leaving. This is union. You're not allowed to talk to us like that. We're allowed to talk to her about the union. So then the next month there was a camera. The camera was put on top of me and facing me.
Hold on. Okay, go for it. Okay.
So they put a camera. That camera was facing directly to me. Supposedly that camera was implemented because of COVID. They wanted to see who was coming in and out. One of my coworkers talked to the safety department to see where that camera was pointed at. That camera was directly pointed to my nook. They couldn't see everything. I felt so uncomfortable because when I got the write-up specified that I was putting makeup on. And so basically they can see everything I was doing down to the paperwork. So I made a complaint to Isabel, and she said there's nothing they can do in regarding that, even though I felt harassed and I felt unsafe about it. So there's just so much bad things for that company. If you look onto the website mirrors, a lot of people will tell you that that company is the worst. And also Proper Solutions is no longer sending their employees to temp for that company no more.
Who's it's like the temporary agency?
Yeah, so that is a temp agency that Sunline was working with that would recruit and hire sometimes employees. Most of the employees that work for Sunline were coming from that temp agency. I'm really good friends with that temp agency, and Angela is the head director of there. And she did mention that they're no longer sending employees because all the employees that were going there would come back and complain that, it was just the worst. They hated it. It's basically like a prison, Mind you, we were trapped in a room for 6 reservations, 8 of us, with the camera on top of us and no windows. We had no windows. They put a door and no one could come in and out. Everybody was told that we couldn't go, no one could go in there and talk to us. We were stuck in there. And
you know what happened today? There was a gas leak. They had to evacuate everybody from the building. There was it's still shut down. When I got off tonight, it's actually shut down. There's
Well,
something that got somebody sick because people, I guess, certain individuals were complaining about headaches. And yesterday, my head hurted real bad when I was at work after leaving the job. So I don't know. I feel like it's a prison. I feel like
yeah,
our leadership doesn't care about us. I
no,
feel that if you know somebody, none of these people have any experience in transit.
no,
We're pretty much a sinking ship. If the
yeah.
board members don't uh, take control of it and maybe hire a temporary GM to get this company back in order, I think it's a failing system.
You know, when I was in that board meeting, I felt like they wanted to hear, but I feel like because it's transit and it makes a lot of money for the public, you know, as far as like, because there's a lot of companies, lawyers, things like that, that don't want to go up against Sunline. And I feel like these board members are feeling that way too. They don't want to be the one to stand up and say something because obviously, you know, one is not going to make a difference. They all have to stand up and say something. So no one wants to be the one. And it's sad because, you know, us employees, we don't want to lose our job. I didn't want to quit Sunline. I had been there 6 years, but at the end of the day, what's more important, my mental health or being working for a company and slaving myself, coming home mentally tired and physically, because when you're mentally tired, your body's tired, and making $15 an hour, like we were, I was a sitting duck. I was never gonna to move up because of course, Tamra's in HR and Brittany's above and Isabel, they're all a little crew. It's a little high school crew. They're mean girls. They don't like you. They will make sure that your life is miserable there. And it's sad because I am a great employee. I learned a lot. I even worked in the maintenance department. I am very valuable. I learn quickly, I train, and I know the job very well. And they were willing to lose an employee that knew a lot and have an employee that doesn't want to work. She's off Sunday, Monday. She's making $17 an hour and she's looking for another job. So they rather have that than an employee that actually wanted to be there, work hard, and the clientele loved them. So
Yeah.
that just shows you, you know, how prideful they are, you know. And I just think since Brittany got there, the whole job, everybody's unhappy, and I just seen everybody declining, and it's so sad because that job once was like amazing, you know, drivers, everybody was happy, and I
I
just
think
feel like
there's been like 30 or 40 drivers quit. And back in the days, it was hard to get into Sunline unless you knew somebody like they did. I mean, look at Tommy Edwards' daughter got hired. Tommy Edwards, rest in peace. He was a very nice guy. I like Tommy. But it just goes to show you that it's not what you know, it's who you know, and who will put you in the position that you need to be in. Um, and if you lash back, they find a way to fire you. I think there should be a matrix on the general manager, Lawrence Skyver. How about a matrix on her?
let me tell you about Matrix. Matrix is useless, pointless, and it wastes everybody's time. Listen to how this goes. They start in the beginning of the month. They do the Matrix all month long. At the end of the month, they present, and then they start all over again. So basically saying 90% of their job is doing Matrix, all to present in front of the board members. Okay. And this is the thing. Some of the some of the matrix meetings are basically the same. It's the same. And it's pretty much all day. It's 2 days because they need 2 days in order to get all of the departments to speak. Now, I watched it for many years and it's a waste of time. Matrix is a waste of time. Lauren literally was falling asleep most of the time on her chair. Like, and the only time she would wake up is to yell at people. She has yelled at the maintenance department, at the she's yelled mostly at men. I believe she's biased because for the women, she wasn't as hard on them. But for the men, she would yell at them. She was very like horrible. Like I felt bad for a lot of the maintenance men because she was just like awful to them and falling asleep most of the time. I bet if you look at most of the recording, because it's recorded, it's on Zoom, and she would be asleep or not paying attention. She just, you know, I feel like her time is up and I really just don't care for her. I really, when I first started, I admired her. I was like, oh my God, she's a woman. I even looked at her bio. I thought, God, you know, she's accomplished so much. She's well accomplished. Like, this is somebody that I look up to. And, you know, just working for the company, I honestly have no care for her anymore. Like she doesn't care about her employees. I bet if I went to her, she wouldn't even know my name. And that's sad because, you know.
Well, they walk by you like you don't even exist. Brittany walked by me several times, didn't even say good morning, or didn't even say anything.
I held the door for Brittany and she's like, no, that's okay. Go ahead and go. Like if I had COVID. Like Isabel too. Isabel is very unprofessional. She's a chief of operations, meaning you are an example for your employees. You need to be, hey, good morning, how are you? That's your position. You are an example to your operations department. I know a Sundial driver, Debbie, she retired. She had been working for Sundial so long. That day she retired, Tiffany came to me and said, hey, you know, we have a driver, she's retiring. Can you decorate her little corner where she sits in the driver's lounge? I said, yeah, no problem. You know, I was still a team player despite how I was being treated. And I had already, I believe, put my 2 weeks in at that time. I don't really recall, but I know that things were not great. But I still was a team player, of course. And she didn't even use the budget to buy like any decorations. She ripped the decorations from her office and made me reuse them. That just shows you how they value Isabel. Isabel has a budget. She has the authority to say, oh my God, Sundial driver's retiring after 20 something years. Like this person has dedicated themselves to this job and was amazing, not only to the job, but to the clients. And she didn't even participate in any of it. I had to go around and have them sign, and I had to come up with a great idea. I had to come up, I printed out a picture, I got a frame, and I came up with the idea. And it's so sad because Debbie didn't even know. And I wasn't going to say anything, but in my mind, I'm just like, this is how they value their employees. I had a milestone. I had 5 years with the company. Mind you, that when anybody gets hired in HR or anybody has a milestone that's in the admin building, gets recognized, gets a little pin, I got nothing. 5 years dedicated to this company and I got nothing.
I never got anything for 15 years, for 20 years, for 25 years, but I've never got even a pin. You know, when we had Mr. Cromwell or even Mr. Oglesby, we would get like a Sunline little gold thing with a diamond in or ruby.
Oh yeah, Lauren's supposed to be doing that.
Well,
but let me tell you, anybody that has a milestone in the admin building, Lauren will sure say something to them.
Said that about Isabel, 5 years. I want to tell you, thank, you know, part.
Oh yeah. And it's funny how it's about getting promoted, but yet doesn't even know anything about, she was Tommy's assistant. How is she getting all these promotions when there's people that have worked for the company, that know the company, who have the background to do it? Look at Esteban. Esteban had so much knowledge of the company, but because he spoke up, they didn't like him anymore. And eventually he quit. It's like, why? If you know you're a sitting duck and you know that you're not gonna, move forward in the company, why stay? And that's how I felt. I felt bad that I had to leave because I was fighting for my department and I was the only one fighting for them. But at the end of the day, I was the only one being harassed. I was being suspended. I got suspended for a day and no pay in December. Okay, this is Christmas time, family, money's tight, and I got suspended. After I left, another employee got written up and she was given the opportunity to stay at work with pay, but just have it in her record. So why wasn't I given that opportunity? So that just shows you the harassment. That shows you, I'm sure they were happy when I left, but, I really want people to know my story because it's sad what I went through, and they're going to do it to the next person and the next person until, that company just goes down.
It seems like we're working at a compound run by a dictator.
I think Lauren needs to take a good look at her employees and really spend time with them to see what's going on, because I heard in Matrix how Brittany treated people. And as soon as Lauren was on that Matrix, she shut it down quick. And I heard Lauren yelling at Brittany, like, no, that's not what you're going to do. I'm telling you what to do. And Brittany's like, oh, okay. So that just showed you that she's giving Brittany this authority and Brittany's taking it to her head. And then, Lauren is just pretty much sitting there, not really knowing what's going on. I'm pretty sure if she knew half of the things what Sundial went through, the reservationist, I'm sure she would do something, but there's no way to get to her.
Yeah,
there's no way to get to her.
I think she, like she did with Tony and Shop, she uses them as a scapegoat. She says, oh, I didn't know that they were doing that, like the driver's seats. I didn't know about that. That's why I fired them. That's their scapegoat.
No, I think that they just don't give her the information because honestly, they're telling her, like in Matrix, if you sit in Matrix and listen to it, they're not disclosing. They're disclosing graphic stuff, like everything on graph paperwork. They're disclosing, okay, so this reservation missed 6 calls. Why did she miss 6 calls? They're not disclosing that this reservation was working by herself on a Saturday and she had over 100 calls coming in and she had to take her break. So they're not disclosing all of the things because they don't want to get in trouble. So they're putting it on us saying this reservation's messing up, and they're not allowing us to explain ourselves. The manager's talking for us, and that's what Brittany's doing. She's telling Lauren all these things. So when it comes out to things are not going good, Lauren's like, what happened? So there you go. They're blaming Tony. They're blaming Anita. They're blaming all these people. But Anita and all these people were telling Brittany, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is how we feel. And she's not addressing it. So when it's all going downhill, Lauren's like, what happened? That's when they're like, Scott was amazing. He didn't deserve what happened to him. He was amazing. He went beyond and above. They told him there was no budget and he would buy stuff with his own money. They told him there was no budget to clean our carpet. He rented someone to come and clean the carpet with his own money.
I don't remember Scott. Who was Scott?
Scott Jurgens was an actual, he was the one who was driving, he was a supervisor, road supervisor, tall man, older man. He was a road supervisor, and then he moved up to customer service. And then somehow Tamara convinced him, because Tamara was going to compliance, and she's like, oh no, yeah, you can work for reservations. So Tamara's great idea was to combine customer service and reservations, which was a setup because Tamara didn't have to do those two positions. So Tamara always goes up front to Matrix and saying, well, I did it. Why can't you guys do it? No, because Tamara had Tiffany as an assistant. She had 6 reservationists, and she didn't have to help customer service. They had their own manager. So Tamara is another one. She should not be in this company no more. She needs to be fired as well. She's terrible. She sets people up for failure, and then just to promote herself. That's what she does. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's it's unfortunate. I know that we are trying to make a change, but it only takes a lot to move a mountain, and I won't stop until we find a way to get it done.
I look at it this way. Eventually everything will unveil itself, and it's going to take time. I get it, but everybody at the end of the day falls somehow, and people that have bad intentions and treat people crappy, they're gonna get what they deserve, and they're gonna do it to themselves. So I know it's not gonna be right now, today, tomorrow, maybe not even this year, but I know eventually things are gonna get to them, and everything's gonna come back to them. I didn't deserve the harassment. I was a good employee. I did what I was told. But at the end of the day, I had to support my family, and $15 an hour was not cutting it. And I was a sitting duck. I saw a former employee, Betty. She applied for multiple positions, and they shut her down. They laughed at her behind her back. And she still went and applied. She applied for safety. She applied for a lot of positions. And they set her up. They made her do the interview, everything, just to tell her she didn't get the job. So at this point, she quit too. Like, there's no way out of that department. The only way. No, she quit applying for other departments.
Oh, she quit applying. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So basically, there was no way out of that department. I was never gonna see. They kept writing me up for dumb things just so that I couldn't move forward. And the only way out was to quit.
So how's Raymond? That you work with Raymond, how's he to the people?
I worked with Raymond. He did train me. Everything was good, but I think, like I said, once Brittany took over, everybody was to themselves. Everybody was on edge. Everybody's for themselves now. So there's no friendship. There's no compassion. And sadly, Raymond fell into that. He doesn't want to get involved, and so he has to side. He's management. He has to side with them, right? Or else he's out too. And it's sad.
It's unfortunate. I'm glad that you're able to tell your story, and we're able to share it with the world, that it's not just one, it's many. And we will be interviewing multiple people that have reached out to me as far as exposing the work life and harassment and unfair labor practices at Sunline. And Lauren and her entourage, or we call them her clique, we're going to expose them all. I think the public needs to know that all the stuff, Sunline's not the picture perfect job. Like, there's not very many perfect jobs, but when you're working in an unsafe working condition, you're not given the proper tools to do your job in a safe way, in a safe manner. Nobody really wants to expose Lauren because they're afraid. But I think enough videos and enough people speaking up. I think voices and numbers, somebody's got to listen. Like I said, the news or nobody wants to listen to our story. Now we're just taking part in interviewing each individual that has had experiences at Sunline and horrible conditions and mental, I would say mental anguish that's transpiring at Sunline Transit.
Also, too, during the COVID, Tiffany got COVID and Betty got COVID. We were never told to go get tested, and we were never told to go home. Mind you, we're in a room with no windows. We're trapped in a room, 6 of us. Betty came and talked to me. She was near me, and she left on COVID. And Tiffany and Lauren, or none of them ever sprayed in there, disinfected. This is the new building. And we were never told that we had to go get tested because they were short staffed. They didn't want us to take time off to go get tested. So we had to work knowing that we were in close contact with somebody who had COVID and was out of work she was out 2 weeks. And no one gave us any information. We were not told to get tested or nothing. And we're trapped in a room with no windows, and the AC's just flowing through that room. So, and we had a person that has a heart condition too. So if she gets COVID, she's done. And she was never told to leave either. We were stuck there still because we were short staffed.
See, this is the stuff that I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people didn't know that, but this is the way we bring it to light. Just like the lights that are behind me right now, the light will shine in the better way, and hopefully somebody listens.
Yeah.
But so this is CECELIA GARCIA. This is her experience. This is Anthony with J&A, exposing corruption at its finest. If you're out there and you want to have your story told, reach out to me. My number is 760-699-3516, or send me an email, GGOIN4broke@AOL.com. Like and share this video, subscribe, and we're out.